Thanks for tuning in to the Women's Vibrancy Code, a podcast dedicated to helping women move from exhausted to energized, balance their hormones, and feeling turned on by their life, their lover, and themselves. I'm your host, Maraya Brown. I'm a Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, midwife, mom, keynote speaker, and self-made entrepreneur. I'm the founder of my signature program, the Women's Vibrancy Code. So sit back, relax, and let's chat about your energy, hormones, libido, and embracing your feminine power. Oh, and you might want to have pen and paper to take some notes on some of these episodes. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast. I have the amazing Tracy Litt with me from Litt Factor, as well as many other things, which we will dig into. Tracy, would you be open to first just introducing yourself?
Yes. Hi, I'm so glad to hang out. It's so fun. I'm Tracy Litt. I am the founder of the Litt Factor and the founder of the School of Becoming, which is an institution of consciousness and intentional evolution for trailblazing women like me and you and everyone listening to us. I am the mother of 3 young women, 18, 20, and 21, and I have never enjoyed motherhood more than at this young adult phase. I'm a science and spirituality teacher, an emotional healer, an international best-selling author, a TED speaker, and a lot of other really, really, really awesome accolades that I'm proud of. And the thing that I am above all things is a woman who helps other women remember who they are and how to reconnect to their body so that they can really reconnect to their higher selves and become the woman their dreams require.
Yum. How do you define trailblazing women?
I love that question. I don't think anyone's ever asked it to me. Trailblazing means you have chutzpah, which is a Yiddish word for like balls. You know, like you have balls, you have chutzpah, you have ideas, you're creative, you're visionary, you are leading, you're not following. You know, whether or not you're at the point where your identity has evolved enough for you to fully deliver all your trailblazingness, but you know that you are here to make a dent in this world.
Yeah.
Yum.
And I imagine that it might be a woman who knows that, but is still kind of hiding,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not being fully expressed, as well as women that know it and they are out miles down the road and that trail is blazed and they're still going.
Yes, because there's always a next horizon. There's always a next level. There's always a variation of your bigness and your expression of yourself that you have yet to experience. And that's where your magic lives. That's what it means to really start to tap in and turn on the depth and the breadth of your inner power.
Yeah.
And use it to direct yourself so that you can become her.
Yeah. And along this kind of analogy of the next level, moving the goalpost, sometimes with the trailblazing woman, the type A personality, the goal getter. Often what comes with that is, for many, not feeling, overdoing, focusing more on strategy and logic and less on who I be. And I'm sure that you have a lot to say about that.
I do. And I'll say this first. I love strategy. I love tactics. I love logistics. I love project management. I love planning. I love it all, and it has its place. And it's still not the lever you need to pull the most, no matter where you're at, because everything that you're experiencing is being driven by your identity. And if you don't, prior to or simultaneously with these other gorgeous things that we must do, because all the things need to come together, focus on healing and understanding what your traumas were, what adaptive behaviors you created to keep yourself safe, right? Which I want to pause on because what I'm observing a lot is women creating beautiful businesses that are built around their trauma responses, that are built around their adaptive behaviors. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when we get into a situation where you're like, I want to throw it all away. I want to pivot. I don't understand what's happening. But I'm always like, stop, put the pivot down. Like, that's not what it's about. It's about recognizing that at the core, you're a spiritual, energetic being having a human experience, and your purpose, not your passion, not your calling, not what you monetize, your purpose is to go within, is to go within and prioritize your healing and your growth and your expansion. Because when you do that, that is what creates the ripple effect that the world is yelling at us for right now, just in case you're living under a rock. Yelling at us, yelling at us. We're not gonna heal anything by looking outside of ourselves, right? So when we go, wait a minute, my divine moral responsibility is to go within. And in doing that, I get to become the version of myself. And that identity holds the match for the big vision. Are we seeing what's happening? That's amazing.
I didn't
I'm
touch
so
anything.
distracted by that. I don't know what to do. How do I top fireworks?
I don't know.
So it's affirming that it's an internal success is an internal game. Period.
Mm-hmm.
It's an internal game. There is not I will go bat to bat with any strategist out there. It is an internal game.
Yeah. And so I'm sure there's an origin story for you
Hmm. Yeah.
and something that happened in your life that was a defining moment where you went, oh, there's my purpose on the planet. This is what I want to be doing. This is
Yeah.
how I want to have my ripple effect in the world.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through it?
I can. And the two words that come kind of flying out are worth and fear, because my
Mm,
origin story is heavily weighted in both. Um, in becoming a single mother when my daughter was 8 months old, and like it's important to just pause there because it's not atypical to become a single mother with a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, but to become a single mother with an 8-month-old, there were clearly issues happening there that I was ignoring. I didn't know at that time that it was because I had such a depth of unworthiness inside of me that I
mm,
was desperately squeezing round holes into square pegs. I was tolerating and allowing. I, I wouldn't give it a half a second, right? Now that I'm on the other side of that space. But that was my first big awakening when I found myself in that moment. And it was out of body in that it was like, whose life is this? Like, how did you become unemployed as well at the time, because I'd closed a business because I had this gorgeous baby who's now 20 and fabulous. I had this amazing baby thinking, here I am, I'm in the relationship of my life. We just built a house. We just had a baby. It's right off into the sunset time. And then I find myself in that situation, genuinely asking myself, like, whose life is this? Remember sitting in the garage on the floor, whose life is this? How can I be in this situation? And then crying my eyes out in a snot bubble fetal position and starting to allow enough to start moving in me for me to tap in and hear first time my higher self came through, calling me up. Like, you're either going to sit here in this victimhood or you're going to get up and change the trajectory of your life, because it's not just about you anymore. And in so many ways, she saved me. Having her pulled me out of any dark night I could have sat in too long. And that was my first awareness of worth. It was my first awareness, like, worthiness is a thing, not enoughness is a thing. And then fast forward, and I built a beautiful life for us, and I ended up landing as our VP of HR in a beautiful corporation. And I'm sitting there, and my soul is dying, like many corporate stories go. And it wasn't the corporation's issue. They were lovely. It was, this isn't it. I'm built for something greater. I am gifted and I need to use myself as the vessel that I am being tapped as. And it's not happening in the environment that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
And that hit was crystal clear. And I did nothing with it for 2 years because I was so paralyzed by fear.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thoughts of who am I to do this? What if I suck? What if it doesn't work? What if it's too much of a risk? What if everybody judges me? And all those other things that I know everyone can relate to because that's the fear talk track. And I sat with that for 2 years. And then when I finally had another beautiful, calm night, and there she comes back in again, and she's like, hello, you're going to die. You're not getting out alive. You got to go do this. And I then executed it. What ended up coming out of that, which is like you're saying, my origin story, why do I do what I do? Because it occurred to me that if I could help heal the great lie of unworthiness, and I could also save women leaders and trailblazers the years that I wasted letting fear lead, then I would really have contributed to this world. And that's where the seed started, and it is now exponential from that.
Mm-hmm. And when you're seeing clients of yours, women that you work with, being stuck by fear or unworthiness, and they don't identify it, they don't know, what are some of the symptoms, so to speak? Like what are the things that you see in them where you go, baby girl, that's just fear. That's just unworthiness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I imagine excuses of I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have what are some of those things that you see?
Mm. Um, Lack of clarity, overwhelm, pressure, indecision, knowing what to do and not doing it, tolerating less than your value, not using your voice, putting everyone else first, having all of these dreams, but not allowing yourself to claim them.
Mm.
That's just the quick list.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically everything that lives in third dimensional consciousness. It's lack, it's fear, it's separation, it's judgment, it's comparison. It's low level shit. And that's when I started to really get into consciousness and teaching consciousness and really recognizing that we need to make the truth of our power more digestible. And that has become our teaching sweet spot at the school. Because when you understand, when you can break down, oh, wait a minute, so judgment and comparison and linear time and self-doubt and fear and compression and overwhelm are all components of third dimensional consciousness, then you can actually recognize where you are in your consciousness based on your emotional states and your behaviors. And that to me is helpful because you don't raise your consciousness by focusing on your consciousness because you don't know what does that even mean? How do you focus on consciousness? So it's things like that that we get to pour into as we get to explore like the methodology and the framework and what we do. And the thing about it is everyone has worth wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone is functioning under the lie of unworthiness until you do the work on yourself and you allow yourself to transcend the third dimensional consciousness because unworthiness does not exist in higher levels of consciousness. And you allow yourself to go, wait a second, let me understand what I really am derived of. Okay, hold on. So I am derived from oneness, I'm derived from wholeness. I am derived in a piece of source, God, universe, greater intelligence, call it whatever you want. So then I'm made of the same stuff that the sun and the moon and the stars and the atoms are. Okay, cool. So why exactly am I laying down on that table and letting them negotiate my worth? Why am I taking the truth of what I am, which is divinity and all of those other things I just said, and then basically dumbing myself down for our control matrix society and living an externally driven world and laying there and going, yeah, pick me apart?
Mm-hmm.
That's the stuff that makes me nuts.
Well, and I also heard you say it's about making our power digestible. And I heard you reference our emotions, our feelings. So, in this quagmire of third dimensional reality where
Yeah.
fear and self and lack of self-worth are leading, but maybe we don't even realize it because maybe there's just who knows what.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what does that feel like for an individual when they start going, oh, here I am with my belly up, losing my power, and here are sensations that I have in my body that are clues, and here are feelings and emotions that I have. And then on the flip side, when you help women make their power digestible and they realize and embody their divinity, what does that feel like? What do they
Mm.
feel in what do they feel in their body? What emotions show up at that point?
Mm. The interesting part is the first answer is more often than not, they're not feeling anything.
Mm.
The depth of dissociation is so present that at that, we'll call it beginning your evolution journey phase, I could say, what senses are you feeling in your body? And this beautiful uh, imaginary woman would say, I don't understand what you're asking me. What do you mean sensations in my body? Oh my God, I don't think I feel my body at all. Am I supposed to feel my body? Because part of the third dimension of consciousness is a neck upping kind of world. We often, not often, we up until now didn't even really realize when I show this picture of the nervous system and how it looks inside the skull and how it's connected to the body inside of mind magic in the school. And it's awe-inspiring because you're looking at it. I'm like, you see, your head's connected to your body. You see, like it's right there for us. But when we go through our childhood and our upbringing, and what kept us safe was leaving our body or disassociating from our body, and you add to that most of us being raised in households where we're taught, like, why are you crying? Which is a question every child gets because of the limitation of the people who raised us, which instantly makes the body go, guess I shouldn't cry. I'm just going to stop crying because now I feel defensive, right? Or suck it up, buttercup, or you never see your parents emote. You have those two primary underpinnings. And then what we land with is a bunch of women that don't feel. And the thing is that you can't be in your power if you're not in your body.
Mm.
So then as we come over here to part two of the questions, what happens is, well, as soon as I put a woman back into her body, she does it, but I lead. Then she's in her power. And you watch it like you turn the lights on. It's literally like, zoop, zoop, whoa, hi, okay. And is it as fun as that? Not always. There's usually a lot of resistance. There's usually a lot of like, there's usually a ton of, oh my God, I feel like I'm never going to stop crying. There's a lot of fear involved because your nervous system has adapted to feel safe, not feeling for decades. And now I'm over here rooting you on, handing you Kleenex, like, let's go, Queen, more, more, more. And it's really the most fun thing. I love release work.
You
And
love
then
making women cry.
I do. We're currently working on a waterproof mascara because we're doing like, I double dog dare you to come to a call with Tracy and not cry your face off. I just think it's beautiful. The whole world needs to cry more. What are
Mm.
we doing if we're not feeling? I genuinely don't understand. How can you, I mean, you in your vibrancy code, vitality, how are we alive if we're not feeling?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because for those of you listening, Tracy and I were on hour 2 right now because she just interviewed me in her podcast.
Yeah.
And so we're batching them out. We've got 2 hours. Let's go. And, you asked me some confronting questions. And I definitely in that moment was like, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. And I go, all right. Was that me not fully embodying my power?
Ah.
Um,
It's can I be curious about that?
yeah.
Um,
Are you going to make me cry?
only if you choose to. Just say this and finish it for me. I held back my tears because.
Mhm. Yeah, it is such an interesting dichotomy. This is just my journey, and I'm curious to see what's going to show up in the midst of this conversation. But the propensity towards front facing with "I got this," the self-reliance, front
Yes.
facing with the perfectionism, and um, like at least in that last hour, it, if I would have let the tears out, they wouldn't have been coming from the conversation that we were having actively. They
Mm-hmm.
would have been coming from the underlying, the undercurrent
Yeah.
of all the other stuff that, like, right now I've been up since 1 o'clock this morning, and I'm showing up as a mom and a business owner, and in my own, like, kind of re-evaluation. And so then it's like, okay, when you hold the space for a woman to let it out, does that mean she feels freely in all spaces, all places, all times? I mean, you host retreats, so you create a safe container.
Oh, yeah.
And you have calls where you create a safe container to let it out and let it out and let it out. But would you also say that a woman is in her power and navigating third and fourth dimension when she literally allows herself to not hold back the tears in all scenarios, all places, in the grocery store, in the aisle, with friends,
Yeah,
in a business meeting?
that's my dream for every
Yeah.
woman. It really is, because to me that's fullest expression of self. So, and the opposite of expression is what? Depression, repression, suppression, oppression.
Yep.
We've had enough of that shit, right? So when we go, wait a second, how do I help my system feel safe so I can be fully expressed?
Hmm.
And what you just said before, which was so beautiful, because you're right, the conditioning that you're evolving through of perfectionism and self reliance has a control lens that lives underneath it.
Hmm.
And control leads us to believe, whether we're conscious or unconscious of it, that feelings make us feel an absence of control. And
Mm.
that's how control stays alive, because you haven't hung out with me long enough to stop believing the thoughts your mind is offering you. And you really understand that you're the consciousness and not the thoughts. And it's not just like a cute meme, but you're living it. You don't believe a thought you think. So your adaptive behaviors can't sustain, because you're like, haha, I got you. No, right? Like, I was a massive control freak, Mariah. I was a maniac. I was a maniac. And undoing that, the unbecoming process is vital for the becoming process, right? But the thing I want to go back to, because I want to hold you and witness you, is, and it doesn't matter where those gorgeous tears need to flow from,
Hmm.
because we don't ask why, and we don't analyze, and we don't even care. I don't care if they're from 17 years ago, 7 minutes ago. The point is that your emotion is energy in motion. And when
Yeah.
it's tapping on you, like, sister, I'm just gonna let it, just like I did. You said something on our last call and I cried, and I was like, hold on, that is coming through right now, you know?
Yeah.
So, what I want to kind of wrap this up for everyone with us, feeling your feelings is vital, to use the core of one of your words, right? Feeling your feelings is vital. Um, it's never inappropriate. It's you expressing yourself, and
Right.
you have held back long enough.
Hmm. Like, how many women have heard, "You're too loud, you're too emotional."
Mm-hmm.
The example you gave in childhood, "Why are you crying?
Mm-hmm.
Keep it together."
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why, I mean, when women are coming through the neuroidentity evolution methodology, right? That's what we do. Right now, we're in the middle of a gorgeous semester. And these are brilliant women that are in the work themselves, like masters of physiology and thought leaders in the personal growth space and healers and kinesiologists and like a whole spectrum of women. And they come in and they do the depth of emotional work. And that's the crossroads where they're like, oh shit. Like visioning was fun. Picking how I want to feel in my life was fun. I got to do an art project. And now you want me to dredge up and start to process all the unprocessed emotion of my entire life? Yes, I do. Because
Mm.
I am here to deliver what you say you want. And there is no shortcut. You cannot hit any level of greatness, of satiation, of vitality, of fulfillment, of vibration, of highest frequency without feeling your feelings until they are done being felt.
Hmm. They lose their charge.
Yeah. And like we're made for that. We're made for energy to be in motion, which is what emotion is through the lens of high consciousness. Okay, so it needs to move. How does it want to move? It might be crying. I was doing a call with our ascenders earlier. I was showing them how to push the wall out. It could be anger. It could be frustration. It could be shaking. It could be chucking a ball in your garage. It could be screaming. It could be having an orgasm. There's so many ways to allow it to start to move. The most important thing is that we allow it to start to move, because the detriment of emotional congestion is too high.
Hmm. What is it?
Whew. On a physical plane, it's dis-ease, right? I mean, my mother had stunning work around this. She was fully aware. She died when I was 24. Colon turned liver cancer.
Mm.
She took a 6-month diagnosed it and turned it to 3.5 years. You wouldn't have known she was sick until about 4 months before she passed, because she started to do this. And this was like, what years is 2024? This is 1998. So like before it was cool, right? She was in the work. She's diving and she's like, what is this? Beautiful health, never smoked, never drank, like all the things, right, that they tell you to do to maintain longevity. And ultimately she started to learn and deduce, oh my God, the depth of emotion that I've been holding, the genetical pass down of my grandfather, who was a Holocaust survivor,
Hmm.
and what that did. And then she didn't process any of his or any of hers. And the dis-ease and the congestion manifested into dis-ease in the body physically.
Yep.
So that's like the first thing. It skews the way you see the world. It keeps you in a dysregulated nervous system. It prohibits your ability to actually have a high vibration, which I know everyone in the world, everyone wants to know how to manifest. And I get it, girl. You deserve it. Take it. Everybody wants to know how to be high vibe. And no one's doing the actual thing that you need to do to have an authentic high frequency and vibration. Because
Mm.
when you're congested, your whole body and nervous system is tight. And I want you to imagine it like foggy, muddy, sticky. To have a potent electromagnetic field, we want it to be clean and clear and open. So it's like, right? And it's like that you walk into a room and people are like, what? Who is that? Right?
Yeah.
So those are the most vital interferences that it has.
Yeah. Um, so good. And I'm listening, and I just had a moment where I noticed I felt distracted
Hmm.
because I had this aha, which was, if you go back and listen to the episode that we did on Tracy's podcast, and this she has taken me back to when I was 5 or 6. And I imagine those of you that are listening, you can relate to this and listen through your own lens. We go back to this place in time where we're a little child. In my world, I learned self-reliance. And so I get to go, there I am again. Where are the moments where um, in my adult life, that will still show up, that pattern will still show up. And the stoicism and the not feeling gets in the way of the full manifestation.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so you're helping individuals that are on the surface wanting to create success in their business. Yes, most of them are business owners.
And leadership. So we're corporate leaders and business leaders.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're saying the doorway, you got to actually open the door and walk through.
Oh, yeah.
But the doorway is get out of your head. It's not about how smart you are or the things that you've done, but process the stuck emotions and let them out in any frickin' place around any individual without having to know where the emotion is coming from or identify it with a label.
Oh, yes.
And simply let it move.
Let it move. And I want to dig in here because I have to. This is where we kind of go wrong sometimes with a good intention of emotional release, right? Or learning how to feel. Mm-hmm. We get cognitive about it because our overisms, right, are over-functioning or overdoing, overgiving, overanalyzing. It thinks it's being helpful because that's what it's done for you for years. Mm-hmm. Your overisms are adaptations that helped you feel safe your entire experience, and now they're the interference to your greatness, just so we're clear. And when the emotion starts to come up, oftentimes you start to judge the emotion, you start to analyze the emotion, you want to know why, just never ask the word why again to anyone, any place, anytime, ever. Don't ever ask it to your kids, your team, yourself. Because it creates defensiveness, because it brings the ego to the surface, because it instantly is like, okay, I have to find an answer, right? So the emotion starts to come, and then the habit of overanalyzing starts to go down into it, and now you get myopic. So now you're adding more focus and convergence, which is creating more dysregulation. And now it's like this black turtle, like pretend this is like my, and I'm holding it, and now I'm like myopically like into it, and now I'm over focused on it, and now I've added more emotional congestion to the emotion that wanted to be processed, because now I'm holding the emotion that was asking to be felt and the judgment of the emotion. And now I'm analyzing it. And this is where I see people end up like perceiving they need to go somewhere on a hilltop to heal for months and months. It doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter how old you were in that moment. It doesn't matter. What matters is you have a body. It needs you to connect to it. And all we need to do is learn how to feel, and feel through the lens of safety and flexibility in our nervous system. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is you start to do that and you clear out the congestion, and now you're clean and clear. You're not going to get backed up again, because you become a woman who feels her feelings fully. So you know how to help yourself. You're not available anymore to feel that, and you start to sense the difference. And it's the most magical thing I've ever seen.
And I can tell that you love what you do.
I do.
And the ripple effect that it has in the things that all of your clients do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so can it be done virtually? Is most of your work virtual? Is most of your work in person?
Most is virtual. I love in person. It's my favorite thing. We just closed out the 5th year of our live event, and we're going to be introducing a new event in 2025. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I actually made a house call. Let's just talk about that. I made 2 house calls yesterday. Wow. I was so jazzed about it too, because I happened to have a client that was local, and then I had a client's son actually. And this is such an appropriate moment. They're teenagers. I was like, they need to learn how to feel. Yeah. I'm going to bring some balls over. I'm going to bring some bean bags over. I'm going to show them how to move some shit around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a beautiful thing. So to actually answer your question, it's predominantly virtual, 90% virtual. And then we do meetups and other live events. And it very much can be done virtually because the space that we're holding, and I'll model it. So if I'm leading a scream release, there's actually a clip of me doing this on Instagram. You can see it, take yourself through it. I'm going to do it first. I'm going to show you that it's safe. And then I'm going to guide you. We're going to energetically hold you,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so many ways to titrate your ability to feel that even like right now, if you're like, okay, but you're scaring me. I don't know what you're saying. I kind of want to feel, but I don't know if I want to feel because it's a very scary thing. It's a very scary thing to start to feel when it is not familiar for you to be someone who feels. And I want to validate that. And oftentimes it's just the sheer unfamiliarity at the level of your biology. But so many of us were raised in really volatile households and had a lot of chaos around us and abuse around us that it's like the opposite of where your system feels safe to go. Right. So I just
Mm-hmm.
want to say that because I really want everyone to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
I forget where I was going with it now, but it's fine.
Well, and what I was hearing was the variety of feelings. Like in my mind, I was
Mm,
thinking mad, sad, glad, bad, um, and creating safe containers to let out anger, safe containers to let
yes.
out sadness, and to go, whoa, I didn't even know what that was,
Yeah, exactly.
and to
Exactly.
move it.
And to move it, there's so many different ways to move it. It's not, I mean, it's, and oh, this is what I was saying. If you're like, you can start titrating and moving it by taking a few breaths and grunting a little, just a little, and that might feel like, whoo, whoo, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or that might start you off and you're going into like a good old raging, get it, like however safe you feel guiding yourself,
Yeah.
enjoy it. But it's really, it's, if I could help the world do one thing, it would be to feel your feelings more.
I love it. And at the beginning, you said you love me some strategy too.
Oh yeah. Well, you have to have a plan. Strategy is just a plan. I think it gets a little bit scary and blown up because there's so much coming at us as business owners, especially in the digital space. But we have a strategy for everything. You have a strategy for how you brush your teeth. You have a strategy for how you handle, drop off for your kids. It's we need to have a plan. It's important because if we kind of float too far over to the inner work, then you might be sitting on your couch after you make a vision board thinking that like your clients are going to come knocking on your door. And
Right.
that's not manifestation either, because manifestation at its highest level requires action, movement, go, do it.
Mhm,
Right?
mhm,
As
mhm.
long as it's like the feminine masculine complement of your feminine being, okay, this is my heart's desire. Yes. Goddess. And then your masculine energy coming in as the devotion to that desire and
Mhm,
getting it done.
mhm. And so as you support your clients, you're supporting them in both. Yes?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's
Not,
it's in,
yes.
go ahead.
Depending on the container. So inside of the School of Becoming, we have a core curriculum, and level one of the core curriculum is Mind Magic, and that is full identity evolution. We are literally going from beginning to end, and you iterate and become a different version of yourself. And then in level two of the core curriculum, you have choices. You can come get certified in the neuroidentity evolution methodology, and that has some business component at the end. You can come into Ascend, and that's our business container. So that's where I'm holding incredible entrepreneurs, and it's all catalyzed by the internal work because that is what we do, but it
Mhm.
is focused on, okay, how are we getting there? What's the strategy? What's the tactic? And how are we creating the outcomes?
And so for those that are listening, that are leaning in and going, ooh, I align with her frequency, her vibration. I feel this. I feel this. This is a strong yes in my body.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like everyone starts at Mind Magic. Even if they
That's
want to
right.
go into Ascension, they
That's
still
right.
start at Mind Magic.
That's right. And that's something I learned through owning this company. It wasn't always like that. And, there's a lot of phenomenal decisions that get to be made in highest service of the client. And highest service of the client does not mean what you want to do. It does not mean easiest path for the company. But if you're really being honest about what's going to set this client up for maximum success, and again, I learned this through not doing it the first time, it's imperative because when you come through that methodology, you speak differently, you see different things, you're operating at a different level of consciousness, and then not only are you up leveled, but when you're in community with other people that get it, and I can reference things like Raz and your Fa and the 6 ways to dance with fear and your nervous system love, and right, because the framework, it's, I still work it to this day. The methodology is like how I became who I am, just reverse engineered so I could teach it to the world. So I go back to it all the time. So it has to be the prereq. So it's you start with mind magic and then we play from there.
Well, and it sounds like for individuals that are in a place of going, I don't know what I want to do with my world. I'd like to get a new certification, maybe try on a new thing. They can start with the inner work with mind magic and then potentially turn that into becoming a certified mind magic practitioner, or what is it?
Well, so we actually just shifted the program. It's now you're a certified neuroidentity evolution practitioner.
And then what do they do with it? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my God, it's amazing. So we have women that have come through certification that had massive like podcast followings and then became certified and now are transforming all of the people in their world and have built full on massive multiple 6-figure brands based on, like, they call it their name. We give it to you. We give you the program. Maraya, one of the things that bothered me the most in the coaching industry was there's beautiful certifications everywhere. I've gone through them myself. But how I felt when I got certified was that was awesome. What the fuck do I do now? That's literally what I thought to myself. Yeah. And if my highest mission is to make a dent in this world and elevating consciousness and frequency so that we can make it a more progressive, loving place, which is literally why I wake up every day, then it's incumbent upon me to make it easy. So many things are happening. It's incumbent upon me to make it easy for beautiful, heart-centered providers to just go take the work out in the world. Why am I going to make you reinvent the wheel that I've already proven hand over fist? So once you come through certification, we literally hand you the whole methodology, 9 weeks of semesters, workbooks and digital files and slide decks and scripts and hypnosis, all the things. And you can call it whatever you want and deliver it. And it's a game changer.
How cool. I feel like we could talk forever.
I know. That's how I felt on ours too. It's like, and more and more and more.
And I have so many additional questions, but I'm also aware of time. Yeah. I'm curious what feels for you unsaid, something that needs to be elaborated on, all of the dance that we've gone through and the weaving, the braiding that we have just done. Anything that feels like you'd like to add or feels unsaid for you personally?
For me personally. Well, the first thing would be I'm grateful for you. I have so thoroughly enjoyed these 2 hours together. Like so satiating. So thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I share that. Thank you.
Right? Like just really like, and for anyone who's listening, please know that you're already whole. Please, please, please. What the world is missing out on because you're still playing the I'm not enough game is devastating. We need the fullest expression of you. We want your juiciness, your uniqueness, your creativity, your innovation, all of you. And to tap into that, you've got to let yourself believe the truth of your wholeness.
Yeah, I feel that. And for those of you that are listening, I feel the constriction in my throat. Like that, just, we get to let it be expressed.
Yeah. What a gift.
Yep. And it's not something that's earned.
No, that's the 3D model. That's the external model.
Yeah, so good. And whole, not the H kind, the one with the W.
That's right. That's right.
How can people find you? Where do they go? Where do they reach out? Where's the best place to follow you and binge on your content?
Yes. So, best place to follow on social is Instagram. Come to at the Lit Factor, and it's Litt.
Mhm.
Best place to start and consume an outrageous amount of free resources. Go to the schoolofbecoming.com. We built a library. The library is broken down in read, watch, and listen. So, however you like to digest. And there is, if you earnestly did the free resources, you would be taking yourself on your own intentional evolution journey. It's that juicy. So go there. There's an ascension assessment that's free. You take it, then we deliver you curated content so you know where to go in the library, start your journey, and then that will also bring you into our email tribe so you won't miss any announcements and other enrollment windows.
Your emails are fun. I love the subject lines. I don't always open them, but
Right.
I always read
Thank
the
you.
subject lines.
I love it. I love it. I love being fully expressed,
Yes,
so I just like say it how I think it.
I totally, totally feel that from you. So I'll make sure that the links are in the show notes. School of Becoming,
Yeah.
the Instagram was the Lit Factor. Is that right?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
And you also have a podcast of your own.
Yes. The How of Within. Yes.
The How of Within podcast. We'll make sure to put all of those down below. And as you can tell, at least for me, Tracy, the first couple conversations, I wasn't really sure how to digest. It felt very abstract. And the more time we spend together, the more it really roots into my soul. And I go, oh, that's what she's talking about. And so for all of you, I really do encourage, if there's a part of you that is getting the nudge, the whisper, stay in her space, go binge a bit. And she really is on a mission to change the world. And I imagine that as each of us consume it, it is part of that movement.
It
Yeah.
is.
Mm-hmm.
It is. We all have this responsibility together. We are alive at a time that what we have available to us in science, in modalities, in shifting paradigms to build this new world, we're the generation, you guys. Please wake up and play. That's what it's about.
Please wake up, remember your whole, and remember
Yes.
to play. That's
Yes.
phenomenal. All right. With that, big appreciation to all of you for listening. I honor your time. We all exist in productive existence. And so the fact that we have exchanged this time together, Tracy, for you and I, and for the listeners that you're here and you've stuck with us, I honor you and I honor your investment of your time in sharing this with us. And we've just had an energetic exchange, which I am forever grateful for. And I honor you, Tracy, and I honor you, the listener, for your wholeness and your ability to play. And may all of us continually allow our emotions to be in motion and feel those emotions.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you.
so good. So good.